not tuned into the Peer Advocates. We are back in the building. You know what I mean? We took some time off, had to lace up the boots, get in the field, did some community outreach. Summer League was lit last summer.
I was lit.
It was lit. Egypt was there.
lit.
Yeah, we got, highly anticipated episode here. A lot of people have been asking, a lot of women.
Much needed.
Much needed, very much needed.
Good conversation, I think.
Yeah. We got our lovely guest here, goes by the name of Muna. You want to introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, how you guys doing?
Come on now, you don't look crap, Someone in the building.
Get
Come
a
on
little
now.
comfortable.
How you feel?
I'm good.
And then my guy Egypt, I'll let him go ahead and introduce
No,
himself.
go ahead. I like the introduction. Why not?
Egypt, Mr. Silky, you know what I mean?
No.
You got the slick hair.
That's not the introduction you need. Say Egypt,
Yeah.
father, chilling, just.
Ain't nothing
just
wrong
enjoying
with having
life.
silky hair, being fly. I'm just trying to.
That's
you know what I mean?
that's a given, When God gives it to you, gives it to you,
Come on.
Stay blessed. But I think we're here for a good conversation. When you ask me, say, hey man, do you want to talk about something like this? I feel like this is much needed, and it's nice to have Muna in here and us around because you don't get both sides in the same table. I feel like we don't have a conversation in a nice, healthy way. We're like, what's your views as a lady? What's my views as a man?
Absolutely.
On a certain topic that we both share with each other.
Right.
Honestly. So
Let's get right
I'm
into
ready
it. Without further ado, what is the purpose of marriage? I'm gonna start with Muna.
Absolutely. So, the
Ladies
purpose
first.
of marriage in Islam is, it's half your deen.
Amen.
It's
Amen.
something that is prescribed to us. It is, what we follow as far as Islam. And I think a lot of people forget that the actual purpose in Islam. A lot of people just get married just to get married.
Clout.
So there you go. Right. Some for clout. Some are just like, I want to get married because, everybody's getting married. But,
I want to leave the house.
Right.
I've been in their parents' house
Elaborate
for a
on that,
while.
Egypt.
You know
What do you mean, leave the house?
What I mean is like, there's different types of people that are getting married. There's people who are like in their 30s getting married, right? And then there's people who are in their 20s getting married. It's always a different dynamic. So at the end of the day, whether you're 30, 20, 40, getting married, there's only one purpose. Half your deen, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's
you're sharing a
companionship.
partnership, right?
Right. It's
Yeah,
companionship.
You're looking for someone
and it's
to,
halal. Yeah.
at the end of the day, raise a family.
Yeah.
And hold you down just like you want to hold them down.
Absolutely.
So getting back to the purpose is always good.
So how do you know if somebody's marriage material?
Those are signs, right? Those are things that you do before you get into the marriage. Like those are the conversations you have with somebody, or the places that you go with, or the things that you guys do, the information you gather while you're with the person. Like I feel like most people don't go to dates just for the aesthetics of going to a date. Hey, I went to a date. You tell your girls, hey, I went to a date. Or you tell your boys, yo, I'm on a date. But really, like, are you really trying to get there? Are you really trying to go on a date to get to know someone because you don't know this stranger and you would like to get to know them beyond the lust
Right.
of you looking good and I'm looking good?
Right. And
we
then you
both
also
look good together.
Right, exactly. Like you said, it's
Can
like
you connect?
right. It's like you have to also look for, like what's their character, like you
Yeah.
know what I mean? And like, are you dating for marriage? Because when you're dating for marriage, you're looking for specific, traits that this person has. Is this person good in their deen? Do they pray 5 times a day? How do they feel about children? These are like very serious things that you have to get to know this person over a few, maybe even dates. I wouldn't say just one. And, and go on a date in a halal way, because we have to follow Islam, right? The religion teaches us that, there's this proper way of courting during marriage. And that's another topic. But anyway, so the point is, looking for characteristics that you want in a husband or a wife and knowing what those characteristics are.
But there's all this red flag genre is going on. There's red flag this, red flag that, red flag this, red flag that. Are you doing anything about it? Are you really conversating with the person? Hey, when you see a red flag, do you communicate that to the person that you're saying, hey, you're showing me this, but I see this. Or you're telling me this and I see this. Do you really have that conversation? Maybe it wouldn't be I wouldn't. Maybe it wouldn't be a red flag if you got his perspective and why he or she does a certain way.
That's true. That's
And
true.
there it goes. We don't have honest communication.
Absolutely. I
Like
agree.
blank honest. Like, you can't tell someone, you know what, I don't like that. And why do you do that?
Right, right. So that's kind of like saying, don't listen to what the person is saying, watch their actions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of people in relationships or in marriage, a guy might be able to sweet talk a girl, right? Because girls fall in love with what they hear, and men fall in love with what they see.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of like you always want to just look at the actions more than the conversation, because a lot of people can mislead you and direct you in the wrong direction.
Right, right. And I think that also, part of what you look for in a marriage is, like you said, communication, honesty, because, it takes a lot of, honesty to just be really upfront about your flaws, because nobody's perfect. So, yeah, you're going to see those red flags. You're going to see, something that you don't like about this person when you're getting to know them. And that's why it's good to keep that communication open, being honest, and then making sure that you also ask other people about this person. It's easy for somebody to show you this great side of them when you're getting to know them and you're trying to, figure out if
Some
their
people
marriage.
might be haters, though.
Right.
Some people might be haters.
And let me
Because you might-
emphasize, and let me
Hold on, go
emphasize.
ahead.
So when I say ask others
good point.
about them,
Yeah.
it's not going to be like, some outsiders, friends. You're going to ask people that are closest to them that actually, care about this person. For example, and this is I'm just throwing out there, this, like, you can ask, that person's sibling. They'll give you the truth, right? Like, if they actually
what
want
What if
to
you
tell
don't
you.
know the sibling?
And that's down the line. So
Right.
this isn't going to be like in the beginning, obviously, but once you like get to know this person, you've met their family. I mean, this is the courting phase of getting married, right? Because
Oh, so
eventually
like-
you have to meet the family, right?
so
and
like
so
at the end,
later on,
like,
like as you get
when you're
deeper
about to choose the
into it,
person, yeah.
like when you're getting more closer, you're going to want to talk to family members and get more perspective.
Like their
because-
family members?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. I've
the
seen
family
people
members
do
are
that.
always going to put in good word for them, because, at the end of the day, they
Right.
want what's best for them, right?
Right, but they'll
Don't you-
also
don't you-
give
don't
you the
think
truth
that's the problem
too.
when
And
you're getting married to somebody, you're getting married to the family.
absolutely,
Yeah,
and that's
I
what
know.
I'm
We'll talk
saying.
about
so
that later. That's
that's another topic.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
We're going to talk about that
So
down the
it
line.
does.
Exactly.
What she's saying
Yeah.
has some correlation. Like,
Yeah.
what she's not talking about in step one. She's talking about when you guys have already established that you guys want a path with each other. You guys want to end up making a life together. You're making the decisions to try to put your family and my family together.
Yeah.
Who do you communicate? You got to communicate with the other side and be like, hey, how's your brother? What is he like? How was his upbringing? I heard his side.
Yeah.
You tell me as his
Exactly.
sister. Tell me
Yeah.
how he communicates.
Right.
How is he with his family? Because now I'm gonna be his family.
Exactly, and their family is your family now, and that's another
A
topic.
real family, a real
Which leads-
sister
Yeah.
would tell you the truth.
Absolutely.
Right.
Where I'm like, you
Which
know what?
leads us into expectation versus reality in a marriage.
Oh man.
I think
Yeah,
you
you
want
can-
to.
you can have
Okay,
it.
I'll
Oh,
start.
man.
So I think this is the harshest reality for anybody who's never been married. You're going in with all this expectations because you're watching, all these, great marriages on Instagram, on
media.
social media, on
Yeah,
TV, and the reality is you're gonna be disappointed, and that's just facts. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you think you're getting, or if you think you have the best marriage. You are gonna be disappointed,
realize
whether it's
that?
the beginning or the middle or the end. There's gonna be disappointments throughout marriage, and you have to understand how to compromise, and you have to understand that it's not going to be perfect, and that's number one.
I wanna. So, when did you feel like you realized that? What? In the
I think
first
you
month,
realize that
the
once.
second month, the third month, the fifth month, like the first year. They always say the first year is always tough.
Yeah.
But when did you realize, like, you know what? Okay, my expectations are gone. This is the new reality. I need to get accustomed to it.
Right.
What do I need to do?
That's a good question.
When did you get that feeling?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I would say, like, for my experience being that I was married, I think that it hit me maybe like 6 months down the line, because the first 6 months is gonna be
It's all lust, you know.
it's
like
gonna be
nice
all like the honeymoon phase,
Yeah,
and you know, even though you
think-
see the disappointment, it's not as bad because
You still,
you're just not trying to see it because you're just so happy you're in that honeymoon phase.
Yeah, you finally
and
got
then
it
down
done.
the
You know, you
line is
finally
when
got
the
it.
real serious work comes in,
Yep.
where you're out of the honeymoon phase, whether it's 6 months or a year or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you kind of get out of that honeymoon phase and you're like, okay, this is the reality. There's going to be things that you're not going to like about marriage or that person, and you have to accept them for their flaws. You have to accept them for everything, and you have to learn how to compromise. And it's easier said than done. I can't say that enough. So many people tell you, oh
Takes
my
two.
God, you have to compromise.
Takes two.
Yeah, but it takes two, and it takes communication, and it takes patience.
Yeah, no, I think for expectations and what it comes down to, the reality, what I would say about something like that is, for me, before getting into the marriage, it's like you have this fantasization, you have this like theory, oh, I'm gonna be like this, me and my wife are gonna do this, my kids are gonna turn out this way, we're gonna live this kind of lifestyle. You're hoping and you're wishing, you're praying, which is all good.
Yeah.
But you also gotta know the other side and be like, when do we do when the heart when it's not up, when it's on the downside? Do we know how to communicate with each other? Do we know how to make each other feel good? Are we setting the right expectations, like not just for the highs but for the lows?
Right. Like
'Cause
I
we're
like
not used
you
to
said
that.
that. The lows is where I think like what we
People
were saying. The
people
lows
don't
is
people
when
don't
the
fail in the highs. They fail in the lows.
Yeah, and the lows is
When they
where
don't
the
know how to
expectations are
communicate.
failed.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So I feel like before you enter something like that, and you won't really know what to expect until you're actually in it.
Right.
You can swim, or you can look at someone swimming, but you won't know how to swim until you actually put yourself in there.
Right.
And some people get that, oh, I didn't expect this, I'm out.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. And
But
like
I
I
understand,
can
it's okay.
And some people
it's,
try
it's
to change.
understandable. Right? Well,
You
you
try
gotta
to change the other person, but it's like, no, you can't.
can't
do
change
that.
anybody.
You gotta accept everybody
Right.
for who they are.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. You got to accept
You know
their
what I mean?
flaws. And like for example, like when we say like the lows, right? Like where the expectations are not met, right? That's what the lows are. How do you deal with that? Number one, like we said, you have to understand that everybody has flaws, and you can't, like you said, you can't change the person. What you can do is
Control
do
you.
your best to control yourself and react in a way that is, you know, loving still, and just, you know, give them their space and figure out, you know, how you guys want to compromise.
I feel like
moving
it's
forward.
a partnership, right? And that's
Yeah.
the problem. We don't understand roles. We don't understand, you know, not everybody's going to be on their high horse every day, right? You know, it's up to us when she's going at a 20-30% rate right now. She's not doing good. I got to be the 80%.
Right.
Take care of
Balance.
balance, right? When I'm not doing good and I'm going through my things, she's got to be the balance,
Right.
Absolutely.
right? If I have a great man you meet, there's always a great woman behind him,
Right. Absolutely.
beside him, right?
Absolutely.
Everywhere.
100%.
Like this, it doesn't go like that. So understanding that we're on the same team,
Yeah.
you make me better and I make you better.
Yeah, and you tackle the problem together and
Yeah.
not tackle each other, right?
A lot of problems when problems happen is, oh, you got a problem,
Yeah.
then oh, okay, since you got a problem, I got another problem. No.
Yeah.
If I got a problem, let me deal with that specific problem. Let us deal with it together.
Right.
Then we can move on from that problem,
Right.
and we can address whatever problems you have afterwards.
Absolutely.
Tackling things together, one bit by bit, one by one,
Yeah.
will eventually solve that. But do you know that expecting getting to married? Do people have conversations about that with you?
No.
Our history right now, if we really look at it, we're 30-year-olds around 30. So we grew up we're like second generation here, right? We grew up here, and so a lot of our families and, you know, moms and dads grew up back Somalia. We didn't see that dynamic. All we saw our dynamic was a certain way. Yeah. So in order for us to change that and change the bad behaviors of a dynamic, we have to communicate with each other. Hey, where did you grow up in? How was your household? People don't ask those questions.
Right.
Right.
That's
Because you
what
got to know where you come from to know where you're going. Exactly. So I'm going to ask you guys this. How do you guys overcome adversary? in a marriage?
Well, kind of like what we said earlier. So, you're
Because that's what really defines a lot of marriage, right? It's like
absolutely.
overcoming the tough times.
Biggest thing on tough times is buckle down. When there's tough times, close the door. Find out who's in the relationship. It's me and you.
That was
No,
that
I'm
was
serious.
funny.
Find out who's in the
The way you
relationship.
said it was funny.
Yeah, but find out who's in the relationship.
Yeah,
Is it
yeah,
just
that's-
me and you, or is there a third party in there?
Well, I think what he's the question was more like, how do you deal with adversary, meaning like
That's what I'm-
problems?
no, I'll get to there.
Yeah, well,
That's
there
what I'm
is-
trying to get to.
Well,
So-
we're not talking about like infidelity. We're just saying
No,
issue in
I'm
the
not
marriage,
talking about.
like
I'm
problem.
not talking about infidelity. I'm talking about getting a chance to sit down with your partner. We're in adversity right now. Whatever adversity, it could be financial adversity.
Okay,
Hey, we're not
right.
making any money.
Yeah.
Or something's going on. Hey, what? The woman has as much say as what I'm doing with my time to make money for her. Because if I'm providing, she should be also wondering, okay, hey, you can provide in a better way with this. Because, women have a great input of financial. They're really good with money and things like that. So including her while you're making money makes her feel like she's included in the household.
Yeah.
And same thing with the guy. If you include us guys and be like, you know what?
Yeah.
Hey, our kids did this. This is the chores in the house. This is what's going on. This was broken. Feel like I'm included because I'm mostly gone from the house.
Right. So it's all about teamwork
So
during
teamwork,
adversity, right? Like
understanding your roles.
Yeah.
Adversity is like, I know my role.
Right, right.
He's
and
my
then
leader.
and then making that decision together,
And, like,
right?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Making
So
a
I get it.
decision
I
together.
feel like
Having
my
that
next
group
question,
conversation.
this conversation is leading to my next question, which is finance in marriage. How do you guys feel about that?
So
Because
in Islam,
I
financially,
did a little bit of research and I seen that couples who split everything, not necessarily are happier, but work out better than couples who don't. And you guys could disagree with me, but
right.
I mean,
Well, I think like splitting finances or having one account, that really boils down to how the two married people decide to do it. I personally do not favor either or, but I know that if we're talking about Islamically, the man is the provider. It's more better to have one account, and to make financial decisions together that way. Now, if someone wants to have a separate account for savings, that's different. But I think that as a man being the breadwinner, or as he should be, because in Islam, the man is the provider. Therefore, the finances all are in his account. Now, if the woman decides that she wants to add her finances to that, cool. But really, as the wife, we don't have to contribute to that. So we can, in a sense, we can have a separate account for our income, right? Because we don't have to contribute to the household. That's not our role in Islam. If we're talking about marriage in Islam, that is not a woman's role. So therefore, yes, the woman can have a separate account, but if we're paying bills, there's one account, and that's the man's account. And if I decide to add to it, cool. That's just my perspective. As far as who makes the decisions, it needs to be joint, because we're a marriage. We're two people. Go ahead.
I feel like, this goes back to the foundation, right? We're Muslims, right? We have a Muslim marriage, right?
Yeah.
You understand the role. Men provide, and women nurture. In that sense, as far as financial, once I take on that responsibility and I say qabiltu, I've now put it on my shoulders that I'm taking care of you as a lady, of every finance situation going on. Now, if alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, I end up making it far, you don't have to worry, and you want to work, we can discuss that as together. What's good for our household? I think it's always up for discussion. If a woman's making a lot more money than I'm making, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Her money is her money. My money is the family's money.
Thank you.
Right.
Because I was about to jump in, but he said what I was going to say.
No matter what, right? Even if I'm making way less than her, my money is the family money. Her money is her money.
Thank
If
you.
she
And men
decides-
better listen to that.
If she
You do
decides
not
to
tell a
add
woman
on-
to ever pay no bills. It
Oh,
is not her responsibility.
No. If she says, honey, I took care of that bill, I'm like, honey, you're amazing. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
But you ain't got to do that.
Because real
It's
men
like
know.
me, it's like me understanding how to nurture the family. I got some roles. If I'm out there trying to make money, I'm not gonna be in the kitchen.
Period.
I need my stuff to be hot and ready.
Yeah, but some go ahead.
That's the problem, though, right? Is we're trying to change roles. You can never do what a man does, and I can never do what a woman does.
And that's why you discuss the roles and expectations and responsibilities before you get married. Don't marry a woman who has a career and expect her to be in the kitchen cooking. You get what I'm saying? So you need to know who you're marrying before you marry them, and they know what expectations or roles that
But
there
some
needs
couples
to
will
have.
tell you we're living in a completely different world where
Yeah, there's modern couples that are
completely
going to have
different
different
economy.
roles. There's
That's
going to be
right.
modern couples that the woman works, the man works, and the roles are all over the place, and that's okay. Hey, kudos to them. Whatever.
they
But
communicated that,
if
though,
we're
right?
going to talk about
Right.
what
They agreed
you know,
to that
yeah,
beforehand, right?
not necessarily, because you don't know what opportunities are going to come your way. You know, like some people make commitments to one thing and then later on they might get an opportunity, and you know they're not going to let that slip
the
up.
opportunity at the end of the day is what was being discussed.
right. If it works for them and they discussed it, hey, we're not mad at it. That's what works
if
for them. So it's
So you're
not.
saying you would never go 50-50 with any woman?
If I'm marrying you, I took responsibility for you, and that's it.
But you would allow her to work if she decided to work, because
and-
that's her choice, right?
Exactly. So if she wants to work, just understand, if I married you and I told you ahead of time that I'm gonna provide whatever I need to provide, the minute I'm failing, you can talk to me. But until then, you should understand your role. And if you want to help and make money for yourself on the side, and this is your money that you want to provide for whatever reason that you want, I am not gonna ask you about, hey, can you help me with the bill? No.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about helping with Bill. I'm just saying if she wants to work, she has
She
the
can.
option.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah.
Just don't lack
but she
on-
can still do her role and still
exactly.
work on the side. right?
If you decide to pick up a job,
Yeah.
don't let the inside lack.
Understandable.
If
Hey.
everything is being provided for you,
Yeah.
and if it's not, you gotta talk to me and say,
course,
I'm
of
not
course.
being provided for.
Of course, it's all about communication,
Right?
and just knowing what the man expects in a role, and like traditionally,
Yeah.
even in
But
Islam,
Mona, if
it's the woman's responsibility to rear the children, take care of home. Absolutely, absolutely.
if I'm
So
providing
doing that,
everything-
and then me working on top of that, that's an option.
Yeah.
But it depends on
Yours
what
is an
you
option.
expect.
You providing money
Right.
is
It's
an
an
option.
option, of
Well,
course.
that's what it is for me as a
Right,
man.
right.
An obligation.
Yeah, no, of course, it's a man's
Different. See what I'm saying?
obligation to provide. Of course.
It's an obligation.
Yeah.
It's a duty of mine. Yours is an option.
Yeah.
Don't confuse an option with an obligation.
Oh no, I never confused it. I
You
was
know-
just
no, I'm not saying for
mentioning-
you.
Right.
I'm just talking about in general.
In
For the
general, yeah.
that's the rules.
Yeah.
Don't confuse an obligation by a choice.
Yeah.
All right. What do women and men expect in love?
I think that we all know that men, number one thing is respect, because if a man is not respected, he's not feeling loved, and that comes hand in hand with
I wish more women knew that.
Right. Well, like, because if a man's not respected, he can't be the man in the household, and a lot of women disrespect a man, emasculate him. You have to let a man be a man. Islam teaches us to respect our husband. We do not disrespect each other. It's all about respect and communication and loyalty, because men expect loyalty and women vice versa. So I think that's both sides.
I think the whole
Let's hear it, Egypt. What do men expect? Come on.
The whole love thing is a very sensitive topic, because to men is because out there in the world, people think we're emotionless. Every man has emotions.
Absolutely.
How he chooses to show you that is the type of love that he's displaying.
Absolutely.
You gotta
Love
understand
language.
it. You gotta understand him, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, you're a woman.
Yeah.
You want a certain type of love, and every woman is some has some differences.
Right.
But getting to know your woman and understanding how she loves something from you, you give her that. And as a man, majority of the men just want respect.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Respect me.
Yeah.
Allow me to open up to you.
Right.
Let me share my thoughts. Let me share my feelings. But don't get upset now.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem. When I say my feelings and how I put it out raw, don't get upset with me.
Right.
I accepted that I am trying to be open with you, and I actually care. Men that don't open up to you really don't give a damn about you. That's our love. If we tell you the truth and how it is and what's going on, we love you.
Absolutely.
So I just think the whole love thing is being pushed off the wrong way. Women love a certain type of way, and men do.
I think with women just we need emotional stability, because men know that we're emotional creatures. So
Yes.
I feel like we need consistency, we need communication, all of that. So I think we need more than what men need. But we're gonna go ahead on to the next topic.
No, the last thing on that topic, I don't want to say the last brief thing about that. Majority of the people that end up going into love, looking for love, is a problem. You gotta love yourself first before you before you even enter in a different kind of love.
You gotta know yourself. Also.
You gotta know yourself, so that way you can display it to the next person and be like, this is how I love to love. But if you, majority of the time, we don't have male figures or woman figures around us. Like a male will not be around a woman, so he won't know how to treat a woman. Yeah. So when he first gets a woman, he doesn't know how to act. He doesn't know what to love. He doesn't know how to treat her, how to talk to her. There's a certain way you talk to a woman without belittling them and making them feel like they're loved, even though you're trying to get a message across. Same thing with a man.
How do you guys feel about counseling in a marriage?
I think it should be both.
I think it is absolutely
Before,
necessary. Pre, during, after. I think our community doesn't do that enough. I think it's needed. I think that a lot of us come in to relationships with our trauma, with our insecurities, issues from childhood, whatever that's unresolved. I think my biggest advice would be that people should really be stable before they even get in a marriage, because it's an emotional toll. Like once you get married, it takes a lot, and so you want to already know that you're stable mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, all of that. Get that down. And before you get married, you want to do pre-counseling so that you understand what you're getting into and you understand each other as well.
So to me, it's like self-development, right? I feel like before you even enter into this marriage and you're looking for something, you do self-development. A lot of people should go to counseling.
Absolutely.
And just talk to somebody.
Even if you're not married.
Yeah. Right. Even if you're not married.
Yeah.
Because you can be like, you know what? Let me get myself ready for that moment. I don't know when that moment's coming.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna get myself ready for that.
Absolutely. You don't want to go into a marriage and you're just broken, and you're just chasing this idea of marriage because you will be a lot more broken. Yeah. Believe me. Because the amount of mental strength that it takes to be married and stay married, because a lot of people, it's easy to get married, but staying married is so difficult, and it can be mentally draining, and you have to have, and let's say you don't believe in counseling, like a lot of our communities, some of us don't believe in counseling, or we don't have that counseling that we're looking for that's specific to our needs. Have somebody in your family that you can go to, that like you can lean on, like your mom, your dad, somebody that can also counsel you. So when we say counseling, it doesn't have to be actual counseling too, but I do advocate for real counseling. And I think for marriage counseling in Islam, it's hard for us to find a marriage counselor who's going to understand some of the challenges that we have in our own community, especially here in this state. I don't think that we have that. I think in Minnesota they have their own marriage counselors that are there's Muslim counselors and things like that, but I think here we have a little bit more of a challenge, and I see that a lot. And I think that that does give us a little bit of challenges that our fellow Somalians in Minnesota might not have. But
the problem is, Muna,
it definitely is difficult.
We don't even attempt it. Okay. Yeah. And the reason why I see us not thinking about counseling besides before marriage, even during it. Why would you want to have counseling only on the downs? Don't you want to have counseling while you're up? Yeah,
that's what we said, before marriage, during, and after.
And another type of counseling is the support cast. The people around you do dictate what you feel and how you think about certain situations, because you're talking to them about your certain situations. So be very careful who you talk to about your problems.
Absolutely, and that's why I said it needs to be somebody trusted.
Everybody business.
Right? No, and that's why I said it's somebody trusted, like your mom, or your dad, or somebody
right?
like.
That's a counseling, though. Right. That's
a
type of counseling, right? So then you seek out professional counseling, where they can get to the root of the problem, versus how the emotion is with your sister, your brother, your friends. Like, choose wisely who you have on your right shoulder.
I agree. That makes sense, of course.
It does a lot. Your support system helps you a lot. In situations where you're not thinking clearly and you're in emotions, to have someone be like, hey, yo, maybe that's not how you think. Maybe let's take a deep breath and relax.
Yeah.
Someone other than your spouse.
Yeah.
Because you're going to talk to your spouse majority of the time, but you want someone other than that's unbiased. You got to check the people around you. That's what self-development is. Getting yourself into there early on.
Absolutely, man. I just want to appreciate you guys for coming out. You know what I mean?
Always a pleasure, man.
Thank you to all the supporters out there, man. Hit that subscribe button, hit that share button, and we got part 2 coming up with Mona and Egypt. So stay tuned for that, and we out.